I've heard people say that Singaporeans are very kind of like in their own world. They aren't friendly. You know, of course, it does take time for people to actually know us.
Yeah,
the general lot of us before we actually open up.
Singapore is so big and there's so many different kinds of people. I feel like that would be a really hard generalization to make for like such a large group of people.
Comparing that to US, was it difficult or easy as well for you to make friends in the US?
I think that it's actually easier here just because it's just more dense. Like the 2 years that I lived in Singapore was like the best years of my life.
Oh wow! So you were Indonesia, Singapore, then US.
Yes.
And now you're back in Singapore.
Now I'm back in Singapore.
Today, we walk through Singapore with Christina, who has spent the past few years living right here in the Lion City. For her, these years have been some of the happiest and most life-changing moments of her life. From building friendships to experiencing everyday life, Christina shares what it truly feels like to call Singapore home.
Hi there! Today we have Christina, who is an Indonesian. Wait, you born in Indonesia, yeah?
I was, yes.
And then you just lived in and studied in US.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long were you in the US for?
I was there from age 12 till 38.
Okay.
Yeah, so 26 years. But I was living in Singapore for 2 years before that.
I see.
Yeah.
So in between Indonesia, so you were Indonesia, Singapore, then US.
Yes.
And now you're back in Singapore.
Now I'm back in Singapore.
So have you missed Singapore in your time in the US? For you to come back?
I think that I have always wanted to live here, and like the 2 years that I lived in Singapore was like the best years of my life.
Oh wow! That is so awesome to hear.
Yeah, so I always had like dreams of coming back here, and then it just so happened that my husband shared that wish with me when I would travel back home to see my family. We'd stop over in Singapore, and then he also really liked it. So yeah, that was nice.
So
Yeah.
what made your impression of Singapore within that 2 years that you were here so lasting and like treasured that you were like, yes, I want to come back?
Yeah. And it's kind of weird, but I really love the trees in Singapore.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel like there's any other place in the world where there's a mix of really tall buildings, urban environment, and then really beautiful trees. And I feel like that makes a very good mix for me. And also when I was young, I used to live in Indonesia where like we were very heavily car dependent. It was a really nice community to be in.
Okay.
But like as a young kid where you don't have any, like you can't drive yet. And being in Singapore, it was amazing because like I could go anywhere. Like with the bus or the MRT, like meeting my friends in Orchard, like getting McDonald's on the weekends. That was fun. Yeah. So I just felt like there was so much freedom of movement to explore the city, and it's a really beautiful city to explore in. Yeah.
So have you been taking advantage of the fact that it's also very close to a lot of Southeast Asian countries, and you've visited like Thailand, Bali, and all that?
Maybe not as much as I should have because I just moved here, and it already feels like kind of still getting used to the place. So not as much, but I'm planning to. Yeah. I've been traveling to Indonesia a bunch though to visit my family. Yeah.
So what has been the differences and similarities that you have experienced between Indonesia, United States, and Singapore, of course?
Yeah. So I think the cities that I would end up living in is close to like the ocean or water, so they tend to be like port cities, and I feel like in port cities there is a lot more people of like diversity, just because it attracts like people who can come in and like want to do trade and business. So yeah, I think those are the three places that I've been in, like Surabaya, Singapore, and then when I was in San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area, it was like they're all port cities.
Okay.
So they're really diverse, and it kind of attracts maybe a sense more of openness because you're just exposed to a lot more different cultures. Yeah, because you're kind of like the entry point for that land in a way. Yeah. In fact, actually on my mom's side, we are like what we call, I think they call it Chinese Peranakan here. But my mom and her family calls it like Cina Baba. Yeah,
okay.
it's similar things
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like
It's basically the Malay version of
yeah, like maybe 5 or 6 generation ago, like my mom's mom, it's like they were like fully Indonesian probably. Yeah.
Did you know that I'm half Peranakan?
I think I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, like the Peranakan like culture itself, it's so diverse. It's like a mixture of everything. You know, you have your Indian Peranakans, you have your Chinese Peranakans, your Malay Peranakans, and every single one of them have different ways of living and like different religion, different culture.
Yeah. But I would say like what binds us all is like there's this word in Indonesian called tanah air.
Tanah air.
Tanah air means like your homeland. It's like 2 words. Tanah means land and air means water.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I'm off that I consider like the Southeast Asia part as like a similar, you know, like tropical kind of weather and land. It's like I feel like it's of my making, you know, like I was made here, I was born in this place. So I think coming back, it really makes me feel like there's some part of it that feels like home. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
So did you feel like this feeling of home back in US? You stayed there for a long time.
I don't know if it's like the same. It's like home that I've made home, but it's like not the same kind of like home that feels like home, you know, like when I step off the plane to like Singapore or Indonesia, like the smell of the humidity, like something about it is like, it feels like home. When it rains or like, you know, when you look at the sky and you can tell it's about to rain or whatever, there's something about it that is so familiar that makes me feel like, okay, like I remember this, you know. But California is home in a different way. Yeah. I appreciate both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. In terms of like living in Singapore, has it been difficult to get friends?
No. I'm laughing. Like, I mean, why is it?
No, I mean, some people, you know, do have it hard. So I'm just asking, like, has it been difficult for you? Clearly, not, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, pragmatically speaking, you're in a very dense city, so there's just a lot of people. Therefore, there's just a lot of opportunities to meet people. I find like Singapore is actually quite friendly for me. I don't know, like, people are very open to like just doing group activity, any kind of like sports that you do. Like there's always something to try and to join, and there's a lot of very community oriented things.
So you don't feel like you had to go out of your way to meet people. Like it's just you know, within your daily life, let's say like the place that you live in.
Yeah, I think because like one, I do have people that I know here, so I don't feel like I'm so super new. And I've lived here before. I've had a really good experience. So coming in here, I'm like very like excited, and maybe like because I am that way, it naturally just like opens me up to like meet new people. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But comparing that to US. Was it difficult or easy as well for you to make friends in the US?
I think it's like, it wasn't difficult. I love people. So
I love that you're such a bubbly person. Like,
I think that it's actually easier here just because it's just more dense. And then like you have way more means of transportation, right? So it just makes meeting faster and like easier. There's just way more places to go to. You don't have to rely on like public transport. And I'd say like the city is safe. You can meet at any hours of the day if you want to. And yeah, there's just more opportunities to do it.
I see. So, you know, I've heard people say that Singaporeans are very kind of like in their own world. They aren't friendly. You know, of course, it does take time for people to actually know us. The general lot of us before we actually open up. Has that been like your first impressions when you came? Like, did you struggle with that a little bit, or like not at all? You felt like, you know, everyone is just open.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Actually, not at all. Like, Singapore is so big, and there's so many different kinds of people. I feel like that would be a really hard generalization to make for like such a large group of people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are people who like would prefer to be at home and not talk to anybody, and there are people who prefer to be with a lot of people.
That's very true.
But I find that people are in their heart like wanting to do the right things. Like I think I like spilled I had like this braceless beads, and like they were spilling all over in the MRT station, and immediately like a couple of people tried to help me, you know.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, you know, they may not smile at you, and I like they were really like genuinely wanting to help.
Yeah.
And they didn't expect anything afterwards.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I kind of felt like there's a willingness to be part of community that's inherent in Singapore culture, and also I feel like in Asian culture that I really like. Not saying that it's not there in California, but maybe because there is that stereotype somehow about Singaporeans not being friendly. I don't really know.
I mean, I've heard it a couple of times, and I'm just like, are you serious? But I mean, even for me, like, I do feel that there's some people who takes a little bit more effort to, you know, be friends with, but generally a lot of us are actually very friendly.
But I think that's the nature of living in a big city, is that like you do have to walk a little bit guarded. I don't know why, you know, but really once you like talk to people and you connect with them, like everybody's wanting to connect, you know, especially after like COVID, where we were also isolated. I mean, I feel like deep down people, whether they're in Singapore or in California or wherever, I feel like they do want community. I believe that. Yeah.
Now that you're back in Singapore, have you actually contemplated on getting a citizenship or a permanent residence?
I think I have thought about it, but we're still so early in our time here. Like it's only been like year 2, so we're still getting to know the place and seeing if like, like could we see ourselves living here long term. I think we would like to, but just taking it like 1 year at a time.
But have you like looked at like the regulations and the process? Like
I know, not looking at like the steps, because our visa allows us to be here for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of safety, for like comparing it between Indonesia, United States, and Singapore, which of the 3 countries do you think would be the most safest?
I think just generally probably Singapore. Yeah, like physical safety here. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of like, what have you done that you feel like you wouldn't be able to do back home or like in US?
I think like being out in like all hours of the day and not having to like watch your back is something that I can't take for granted here. And you know, like there are parts of the United States where you can do that, but in an urban city, typically like it's just, I don't know, it's not lately it's not a place that you can do that. Yeah.
So in terms of like public transport that you mentioned before, like you know, you take a lot of public transport over here.
Yeah.
And how does that differ between US?
I think that US is just a lot more, where I was living is just like a lot more spread out than here. It was a city, but Singapore is just way more dense and way more connected. Yeah.
It's a smaller island.
Right. So there's just like way more opportunities to do that. I did take a lot of buses when I was in college.
Okay.
But it was like a very small radius that I needed to be in. But now that I have a kid and I need to take him to like extracurriculars and like, you know, play dates or going to school, all that stuff, it just isn't really that practical to take public transport there. And even if I took like an Uber or a Lyft there, which is like their version of Grab, like that would be very expensive.
Wow.
That would be very expensive.
I mean, Grab here is already kind of increasing prices.
Yeah, but it's still much more affordable than like
the crime rates in US and Singapore.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like a big generalization. I know there's a lot of talk about the US as well, but the US is so big. Like what city that you're in will determine like the safety, because there are people who live in areas where it's like they feel safe. They can like still, you know, leave stuff in their car and like not feel like somebody's gonna break in. And then there are places where break-ins will happen, you know, because there's generally some economic inequality.
Okay.
And other factors, you know. So I think it's also a big generalization. It depends on where you live, but where I was living, which was Oakland, California, comparing that to Singapore, it's definitely like night and day. You know? But I love Oakland, so you know, I also love Oakland.
Yeah. I mean, that was a part of you, and it's still you still go back.
Yeah.
So when you do go back, do you find yourself missing parts of Singapore, or like you don't, you know?
I mean, I've always been a third culture kid.
Okay.
So being like, in a way, it's like I always feel like an outsider even when I'm living in different places. So I feel like my sense of like identity is tied to multiple locations, not just one. But when I'm in one, I'm fully like being in that place and like being grateful that I can have time in that place. And then when I'm in the other, I also feel the same, you know. And I try to like go back and forth. I feel very privileged that I can do that, but I have families on both sides, I have friends on both sides, so I try to make time as much as I can to keep connected. Yeah.
So how long do you feel like you would stay in Singapore for?
I mean, I think ideally I would like to stay here until my son gets to college, just so that he can have some stability and like being in the same school, having the same like community of friends until he gets to college. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.